Shiva Puranam, Vidyesvara Samhita, Chapter 1, Discussion on Sadhya and Sadhana. Salutation to Ganesha. First of all, Vidyesvara Samhita is being started. I meditate upon Shiva, the Lord of Parvati, who is the form of welfare in the beginning as well as at the end of the universe, who has similar feelings for all which are unprecedented. Therefore, he is always engaged for the welfare of his devotees for all times to come. He is the best of all, who is free from the bondages of the birth and death, who is self illuminating, having the five faces, who is competent enough to remove the five types of grave sins which cause obstructions in the achieving of the salvation. I adore such a type of Lord Shiva with my devoted heart. Vyasa said, in the Mahakshetra of the Dharmakshetra, at the confluence of the Ganga and the Yamuna, there is an auspicious and sacred place like the path of Brahmaloka known as Prayaga. The great ascetics who were praised by all, possessing all the knowledge, who were truthful, immensely illustrious, enormously fortunate, started for a long time yajna. Learning about the performing of a yajna there, the great sage Suta, the disciple of the sage Vyasa, foremost of those knowing about the mysteries of the Puranas, arrived there to meet the ascetics. Finding the arrival of Suta there, all the sages present there with all the sages present there were delighted. Getting pleased, they all adored him appropriately. Then all the sages were happy, and with folded hands they praised him appropriately and submitted to the sage Suta quite humbly. O omniscient sage, we all feel beholden with your arrival here. Because of the height of our fortune, you have been able to attain the knowledge of all the Puranas. Therefore, you happen to be the treasure of all the astonishing episodes of the Puranas. In the same way as Ratnakara ocean happens to be the abode of the diamonds. You are well aware of all the events of present, past, and future, and nothing is unknown to you. Your arrival here is a matter of great fortune for us, and you will not leave this place without doing enormous good to us. This is certain. Even earlier, we had listened from you many of the good and evil stories, but our mind does not feel satisfied by listening to the same. We want to listen to those types of the stories again and again. O sage Suta, possessing the noble wisdom, presently we intend to listen from you only one story. In case you are graceful on us, then narrate the same story. Reaching in this terrific Kali Yuga, the people would be devoid of the merits. All would become wicked and start indulging in falsehood. They would engage themselves in denouncing others, would be desirous of usurping the wives and riches of others. They would enjoy pleasures with the wives of others. Besides, they would torture and even kill others. They would treat this body as the soul, besides being foolish atheists having animal like wisdom in the world shall denounce their own parents, adoring their wives like the gods, and would be passionate by nature. The Brahmanas would be greedy, would earn their livings by selling the Vedas, would be devoted to the earning of the wealth and feel intoxicated by getting educated. They would fall from their own varnashrama dharma. Usually, they would cheat others. They would never perform sandhya thrice a day and would be deprived of the knowledge of Brahman. They would be merciless, consider themselves as learned in spite of being fools. They would never perform vratas of the noble conduct, would be engaged in plowing the fields. They would be of harsh temperament and would have deceitful minds. All the Kshatriyas would also be devoid of dharma and the noble deeds. They would never take the side of the noble people, would be engaged in the sinful ways, and would be extremely wicked. They would be cowards by nature, would avoid the battle ground, would take to fleeing, and they would earn their living by stealing like the thieves. The Shudras would always be engaged in passionate designs. They would have no knowledge of the use of weapons. They would discard the dharma of serving the cows and the brahmanas and would never save the people, seeing refuge with them. They would be engaged in sports with their beloveds and would look like the deer or animals. They would be deprived of the dharma of serving the people and would always be engaged in the worldly pleasures. They would be instrumental in the destruction of the people. They would be wicked and kill the creatures without any reason. The Vaishyas would be deprived of their samskaras and would leave their dharma. They would follow the degraded path, would always be engaged in earning wealth by using the evil tricks of the trade. They would never be devoted to the preceptor, the gods, or the brahmanas. They would always possess evil wisdom and would never serve food to the brahmanas. Usually, they would be miserly and would never give away anything in charity. They would enjoy the conjugal pleasures with the wives of others as the second husbands and would possess the ugly ideals. They would always be caught in greed and delusion. They would discard the meritorious deeds like the digging of the well, setting up of gardens, etc. Thus, those who are Shudras would conduct like the Brahmanas. They would possess beautiful complexion, become foolish, and would desert their own religion. They would perform the tapas, steal away the glory of the Brahmanas, become killers of the children, and would become the reciters of the Vedic hymns. They would adore Saligrama Shila and Shivalinga, arranging for the homas as well as the yajna at the same time. They would be of opposite thoughts, wicked at heart, and would be inimical to the Brahmanas. They would become wealthy, would be engaged in evil deeds, become learned, develop controversies, would discourse on dharma and scriptures, besides destroying the real dharma. They would clad themselves like the kings, would be deceitful, project themselves like the great donors, extremely proud, and would force brahmanas and others to be like their servants and themselves project as their masters. They would be irreligious, foolish, of mixed castes, possessing the wicked wisdom, extremely arrogant, and would devote themselves in the destruction of the dharmas of all the varnas. They would project themselves to be of high caste and make the other people faithfully follow their own dharma to fall from the righteous path. They would be fools and would act like the Brahmanas. The woman would also indulge in misconduct and would never obey the command of their husbands. They would be envious of their parents in law. They would be fearless and would eat the prohibited things. They would be of deplorable activities and temperament. They would be anxious and passionate. They would enjoy conjugal pleasures with their lovers instead of the husbands. They would move against their husbands. The offsprings would not be interested in the service of their parents, would be of evil mind, practicing the harmful vidyas, and would suffer from various types of ailments. O Sutta, thus they could be the position of the people who discard their own dharma in this as well as in the future world. How would they achieve salvation? We always feel worried for the same. Surely there is no other dharma better than doing good to others. You please tell me presently some easy method by which their sins could be destroyed, because you are well versed in all the Puranas and other scriptures. Vyasa said, listening to the words of the omniscient sages, Sutta, adoring Lord Shiva in his heart, thus spoke to them. Iti Sri Shiva Mahapurane Prathamayang Vidyesvara Samhitayang Muni Prashnottara Varnanang Nama Prathamadhyayah. Chapter 2. Reply to the question of the sages. Sutta said, O great sages, you have put me a great good question, which is for the welfare of all the three worlds. Because of the love you have for me, I, bowing in reverence to my preceptor, give a reply for the same. The Shiva Purana happens to be the gist of the Vedas, which redeems the people of all the sins and bestows moksha after death. In this Shiva Purana, the glory of Shiva is contained, which removes all the sins in the age of Kali. Therefore, O Brahmanas, it bestows the reward for all the dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. O Brahmanas, with the study of this Purana, a person achieves the best of Shiva Pada after death. It is surprising that the scenes like the Brahmahatya and others could stand only till the rising of the Shiva Purana in the world. It is surprising that all the horrible disturbances in the age of Kali move only up to that time. The recitation of the Shiva Purana is not started in the world. All the Shastra quarrel among themselves till the Shiva Purana does not rise in the world. Even the great yogis are unable to understand the real form of Shiva till the rising of the sun like Shiva Purana in the world. The wicked messengers of Yama wander here and there in the world till the rising of Shiva Purana in the world. All other Puranas thunder in the world till the rising of the story of Shiva Purana on earth. All the holy places pick up the controversies in the world till the rising of Shiva Purana on earth. All the mantras uselessly quarrel among themselves in the world till the rising of the Shiva Purana on earth. All the tirthas quarrel with one another till the rising of the story of Shiva Purana on earth. All the divine places on earth quarrel among themselves till the rising of the story of Shiva Purana in the world. All the charities enter into controversies in the world till such time story of Shiva Purana does not rise in the world. Up to that time alone the gods enter into discussion on earth till the rising of the story of the Shiva Purana. All the principles clash on earth only up to the rising of the story of Shiva Purana in the world. O Brahmanas, I am not in a position to speak out the reward one achieves by listening to the reciting of the story of Shiva Purana. O Brahmanas with noble souls, still I would like to place before you some of the glories of the Shiva Purana, which had been spoken to me earlier by the sage Vyasa. You please listen to me attentively. With the reciting of a single verse or half of it from Shiva Purana with devotion daily by a person, he is relieved of all the sins in a moment. The one who recites the Shiva Purana, discarding laziness with devotion, he is freed from the bondage of the worldly life. The one who adores the Shiva Purana with devotion daily, he undoubtedly achieves the rewards of an Ashwamedha sacrifice. In case a person listens to the Shiva Purana from others for achieving an ordinary position, he, because of my grace, is relieved of all the sins. The one who offers his salutation to the book of Shiva Purana from the close quarters, he achieves the reward for the adoring of all the gods. There is no doubt about it. There is the one who presents a copy of this Shiva Purana writing it with his own hands to the devotees of Shiva. You listen to the reward he gets for the same. The reward which is difficult to be achieved by the study of the Shastras and the Vedas, he also gets the same. Keeping fast on the 14th day of the fortnight, the one who in the assembly of the devotees of Shiva delivers discourse on this Purana. He becomes the best of the human beings. The reward one gets with the Purascharana of the each one of the letter of the Gayatri mantra, the same could be achieved with the recitation of this Purana. He enjoys all the comforts of this world and ultimately achieves salvations. Observing fast on the 14th day of the fortnight, keeping himself awake during the night, the one who recites this Mahapurana or listens to it, he gets enormous merits, which I am going to tell you. The merit one gets at the time of solar eclipse at Kurukshetra by giving charities is equal to one's own weight, Tuladana, given away to the Brahmanas like Vyasa and others. The same reward is received by the aforesaid person. This is true, there is no doubt about it. The one who arranges the singing of the story of Shiva Purana throughout the day and night, even the gods like Indra and others remain anxious to obey his command. All the noble deeds performed by a person who, while reciting or listening to the Shiva Purana, he gets the reward crores of time more than the ordinary one. The one who recites the Rudra Samhita with an alert mind, he gets purified even from the sin of Brahmahatya within the 3 days. The one who recites Rudra Samhita quietly before the image of Bhairava thrice, he gets all his desires fulfilled. The one who recites the Rudra Samhita seated under a banyan tree or the wood apple tree going round it, he is relieved of the sin of Brahmahatya. The glory of Kailasa Samhita is far greater than Rudra Samhita, which is the form of Brahman and reveals the meaning of Omkara. Only Shiva is aware of the complete glory of the Kailasa Samhita. The half of its glory is known to me. Therefore, whatever I am going to speak about it could not be taken to be complete. by listening to which the minds of the people are purified. O Brahmanas, there is no sin in the world which cannot be destroyed with the recitation of Rudra Samhita, because I have never come across such a type of the sin even after strenuous search. Lord Shiva, after churning the ocean in the form of Upanishads, had extracted the nectar, which was given over by him to Kumara Kartikeya, consuming which he became eternal. For the removal of the sins like the Brahmahatya and others, the people should recite this Samhita for a month, which is bound to free them from the sins. The sin one earns by accepting the money from prohibited characters, or by the words which should not be spoken, or to which one should resort to, are all destroyed with the reciting of this Samhita. The one who recites this Samhita in a Shiva temple or the forest of wood apple trees, he achieves his reward which is beyond the description of my speech. A person who reciting this Samhita during the days of Shraddhas serves food to the Brahmanas with devotion, all his moves achieve the supreme position with Shiva. Fasting on the 14th day of a fortnight, sitting under the shade of a wood apple tree, one who recites this Samhita, he is treated like Shiva himself, and even the gods adore him. The other Samhitas also bestows the desired reward. Both of them should be treated as the best, because both of them contain the knowledge and the sports of Shiva. Therefore, this Shiva Purana has been equated with the Vedas, which was initially composed by Shiva himself. Because of the inclusion of the 12 Samhitas like Vidyesvara, Rudra, Vinayaka, Uma, Matri, Ekadasa, Kailasa, Shatarudra, Koti Rudra, Sahasra Koti, Vayavya, and Dharma represent the 12 parts of this Purana. Since it comprises of the 12 Samhitas, it is extremely auspicious one, O Brahmanas. I shall now speak about the number of the verses in these Samhitas, which you please listen with respect. The number is given below. Vidyeshvara 10,000 verses, Rudra and Vinayaka 10,000 verses, Uma Samhita and Matre 16,000 verses, Ekadasa Rudra 13,000 verses, Kailasa Samhita 6,000 verses, Shatarudra 3,000 verses, Koti Rudra 9,000 verses, Sahasra Koti 11,000 verses, Vayavya 10,000 verses, Dharma Samhita 12,000 verses, total 1 lakh verses. Thus Shiva Purana initiated had a lakh of verses. Vyasa briefed it, reducing the number to 12,4,000. Vyasa verified it, reducing the number to 24,000. This is presently the fourth Shiva Purana, comprising of the 7 Samhitas. There were 3 Shiva Puranas in between the earliest and the present one, which are not traceable during the present times. At the beginning of the creation of the universe, the number of the verses of Shiva Purana was 100 crores. The sages like Vyasa and others in the Dwapara Yuga distributed the Purana in 18 parts, briefing them by reducing them by 4 lakhs of verses. On the basis of the number of slokas, it is conceived to be of 24 thousand verses. It contains 7 Samhitas which are attributed to Brahman. These Samhitas are as follows: Vidyesvara Samhita, Rudra Samhita, Shatarudra Samhita, Koti Rudra Samhita, Uma Samhita, Kailasa Samhita, Vayaviya Samhita. Thus, there are 7 Samhitas in all. These 7 Samhitas are included in this divine Purana, which is equated with Parabrahman and bestows the best of the position. A person who recites the 7 Samhitas with respect, he achieves salvation during this life itself. The Vedas, Smritis, Purana, history, and hundreds of other scriptures cannot equate or even slightly compare with the Shiva Purana. This spotless Shiva Purana was composed by Shiva himself. Vyasa, the devotee of Shiva, collected it in brief. It, while doing good to all the men, removes 3 types of sufferings, bestows welfare on the noble people. In this Shiva Purana, Dharma has been described without any sort of deceitfulness. The mystery of Vedanta, based on science, is its main subject. It is to be known by the spotless learned people. It bestows dharma, artha, kama, and moksha to the learned people on the basis of their karmas or performance. It is the best of all the Puranas, therefore it is also called the Satya Purana. There is a mention of divine mothers in it, like Vedas and Vedanta. Whosoever listens or reads this Purana with devotion, such a devotee of Shiva surely attains the place of Shiva. Iti Sri Shiva Mahapurane Prathamayang Vidyesvara Samhitayang Muni Prashnottara Varnanang Nama Dvitiyodhyayah. Chapter 3. Discussion on Sadhya-sadhana. Vyasa said, thus listening to the words of Suta, the Maharshi said, you better relate to us the wonderful stories of Shiva Purana, which comprise of the gist of Vedanta in totality. Listening to the words of the ascetics, the delightful Suta, bowing in reverence to Lord Shiva, spoke to the Maharshis. Suta said, O sages, you please listen to me. I am going to recite the story of Shiva Purana, which is the gist of the Vedas, offering my salutation to Lord Shiva. In this Purana, the subjects like devotion, knowledge, and vairagya, besides other matters which are worth knowing, have been discussed. O best of sages, now you listen to Shiva Purana, which is the gist of the Vedas from ancient times, with the passage of the Kalpa again and again, and with the arrival of the Shveta Varaha Kalpa, and at the beginning of the creation, the 6 ascetics of the pure race expressed their respective opinions. This Purana is great, but not the best. This type of great controversy developed. Then all of them went to Brahma, the Eternal One, to find out the solution from him. All the sages spoke to Brahma with humble voice, folding their hands. They said, O Creator of the universe, you are the cause of all the causes. Who is the creator of the 5 Mahabhutas? Who happens to be the oldest one and is beyond all the tattvas, born out of Mahat? Brahma said, wherefrom the speech returns along with mind not attaining him, wherefrom all the gods like Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva emerge together with the gods, Panchamahabhutas with the organs. He is called Lord Mahadeva. who is omniscient and is the Lord of the entire universe. He could be visualized with extreme devotion, otherwise, he remains invisible. Even the gods like Rudra, Hari, Vishnu, Hara, and other gods besides their Lord as well getting devoted to Lord Mahadeva become desirous of having an audience with him. What else could be stated in this connection? With the devoting of the mind towards Shiva, a person gets redeemed. The devotion of the God can be achieved with the grace of the God, and with the devotion of the God, he gets pleased. Therefore, O Brahmanas, you go to the earth and start a yajna to be completed in 1,000 years in order to please Shiva. In the same yajna, the mysteries of the gist of the Vidya propounded in the Vedas would be revealed by the grace of Shiva, besides its power, means, and the gist. The sages said, Alright, you please tell us as to what is extremely attainable for a human being and what are the means for it. What type of means should be made use of for the same? You kindly give us the purposeful replies to these questions. Brahma said, the object to be achieved in this connection is the devotion of Lord Shiva, and the purpose is to always remain devoted to Lord Shiva. The devotee should be such who would be unmindful of the reward or the heaven in the form of everlasting and the fortuitous deeds performed by him. With the performing of the karmas as propounded in the Vedas, the one who dedicates the reward thereof to Lord Shiva for the achieving of the Shiva Pada, such a devotee gains the Sayujya devotion, intimate union of the Lord. With the performing of the same type of devotion, a devotee earns the same type of reward. Lord Shiva has defined several means for the sake of his devotees. I am going to reveal the gist of the same. You should listen to them with the attentive ears and recite them with your tongue. To repeat them again and again in the mind is called the means. Therefore, one should listen to the merits of Lord Shiva, recite them in the form of kirtana, and should keep on muttering them always. This Shruti is authentic in the above passage, and there is no other means. Therefore, in order to collect all the means, the people should make Shiva Purana as the only means. It has been stated in the Vedas that one should initially take care of the soul, then listen to it. But this goes against the human behavior because the soul cannot be visualized easily and no attraction develops for a padartha without looking at it. Therefore, one should first listen about his charitra, conduct, and then engage himself in the other activities. Therefore, after listening to the Purana initially from the mouth of the preceptor, then the learned person should resort to its kirtana or recitation. In this sequence, when a person gets the means of understanding, only then he would be able to achieve Shiva Yoga and then the salvation. By doing all this, all the worldly ailments are removed and all types of bliss is also absorbed in the same. During the initial stages, one has to face several difficulties, but it ends in enormous comfort. Iti Shri Shiva Mahapurane Prathamayang Vidyesvara Samhitayang Sadhya-sadhana Vicharang Nama Tritiyodhyayah.